Welcome back to another episode of the Stack Supplement Podcast, where we run down all of the top stories and exciting announcements shared on our website from the past 7 days. And we have a busy few stories to go through today. As you can see, we've got our biggest one of the lot right behind me, but it was a jam-packed week. We were pushing ourselves to the limit as per usual. Also in the background, we are getting ready for the 2025 Stack Pavilion at the Arnold Sports Festival, and it's shaping up to be a pretty big one. We haven't shared we haven't said any brands that are going to be there just yet. We like to kind of save that to the end, but I can assure you that if you loved last year's ones, you're going to be in for a good time. Even the year prior. The interesting one that I think the biggest development we've done is the size of the whole thing. It's not necessarily going to have more brands. I think we may indeed have slightly more. I'm not entirely sure just yet, but everyone's gone up in size. We added a 20 by 20 to the rate card or the plan or whatever you want to call it, where it's now an option. Previously we had 10 by 10s, 10 by 20s, 10 by 30s. No 20 by 20, but that is indeed added in for this year, or next year technically. And I would say 5 or 6 brands have jumped on that quite quickly, and that has resulted in, as you can imagine, quite a bit of space. The 20 by 20, just to give you an idea, it's usually what you see at shows that have, you would call them an island, where it's a brand kind of by itself. In traditional setups, usually that's what you pay for, hence the name island. But you would have to pay for the space around you, because ideally you could have 2 brands in that same spot. But in the island situation, you would pay for that separation and then pay for that space that could have gone to XYZ. But in the Stack Pavilion, we have a 20 by 20, but we've done them back to back. Now that was mostly because I just didn't want, very similar to how we've done previous Stack Pavilions, we wanted everyone to kind of feel very equal, very similar, very fair. So even if you are someone in the area that has a 10 by 10 or 10 by 20, the 20 by 20s are still going to be somewhat equal, or at least similarly. They're going to have the same height and similar attachment to other brands in the show. But we have a lot of those. It's going to be big. And if you haven't got your tickets or organized your accommodation, you should do that. You should definitely do that. If you're a brand listening and you're interested, or we're going to wait till later, I wouldn't. Definitely get in sooner rather than later. We do have space or potential in the Stack Pavilion at least to expand beyond our current 4 aisles. We can add another one. However, I think I mentioned this previous years when we did this. The only catch there is that if I add another aisle, I have to pretty much be able to fill it up. It's going to look weird. So yeah, it's a catch. It's a problem. But reach out as per usual. Instagram, email, through the website, whatever it may be, but definitely make sure you're going to be there. And if not, stay tuned to the website. We'll have as much coverage as possible to make it feel like you're actually there. Getting into the regular roundup where we go through the top stories of the week. I'm going to kick things off with a rather interesting one, and it would have come off interesting if you saw the picture of it. We're talking about Larry Wheels' lifestyle innovation that's coming down the pipeline. It's called Energy Pack? Blast Pack, I think it's called. Yes, and it's very simply, he pitched it, Larry Wheels, obviously the bodybuilder, powerlifter, influencer. He pitched it quite interestingly. He showed off that an RTD or a shot, and then he showed an energy drink, and just kind of, he really didn't like, obviously, if he's making something to compete with, whatever he's about to show you is not going to be something to his liking. And he was just sort of saying like, hey, I don't like the comfort of an energy drink before my workout. I don't like this. And it is what it is. Now, he then showed the Blast Pack. Now, this is something, I do believe we've seen these before. I'm trying to recall the brand, not overly memorable, but it's basically a square with liquid inside. And the Blast Pack from Larry Wheels it's basically a caffeinated liquid, and inside that little square is 3 mils. And I was referring to the entertaining picture, which is on the site. It has a wallet, and then it has a condom, and then it has a picture of the Blast Pack. And the reason, I'm just going to check, it is a Blast Pack. And the reason I put a condom on there is because Larry Wheels, that was his direct comparison. He's like, it's the same size as a condom, can fit into your wallet. And I thought that was such a entertaining comparison to draw to. You could have said like a folded $5 bill, half a note, whatever it may be, But he threw out the and you know, all the power to him was probably the first thing that came to his mind or whatever. But I just thought it was quite an interesting comparison. The packets do indeed are seemingly identical in size, and the idea is that it's a sealed, like a little square sealed pack, and you'd fold it in half, and it's you might have seen something similar before, not necessarily in this function. And you would squeeze the sides together, and then it would kind of squirt the liquid in the center point on the other side. And could throw it in a beverage, could throw it in a shake, could throw it straight to the dome, as they say. But the purpose is it gives you more than 200 milligrams of caffeine. I'm not sure if there's anything else in there. I'm not sure if it's sort of like a fully loaded energy formula. It doesn't sound like it. He did say over 200 milligrams of caffeine for energy. I suspect if there were other highlights, they would have been mentioned. But that was all that's there. So Blast Pack is coming soon. It'll be available through the Personal Record or PR Lifestyle website from Lower Wheels. And you can check out that fun little picture we posted up on our website. Moving on down, we have Huel, the superfood supplement company. Sorry, not superfood supplement company. Sorry, nutrition supplement company. They're coming out with a spin-off of their superfood innovation, Daily Greens, which has been around for a while. And it is a little bit different from your standard green supplement. It is flavored, comes in powder, has some interesting flavors, brings together quite a variety of components, and that's, I guess, where it differs. Usually with green supplements, you get just the greens, maybe some fruits, and a little bit of sprinkle of other things. But you do have the more comprehensive ones that basically throw in other daily health essentials, probiotics, enzymes, adaptogens, and that is what Huel does with its Daily Greens. They have now turned that into a beverage that is called the Daily Greens drink. It comes in a can, and it is essentially a spin-off of the original supplement. Now, as you can imagine, anytime you go to a drink format, I wouldn't say any time, I'd say most of the time, almost 99% of the time, you cannot get everything that's in that complex supplement and put it in the drink. Or if you can, the supplement may not have had everything that it probably could have in the beginning, but that's another argument. So the Daily Greens drink is basically a similar concept. A whole bunch of superfoods, adaptogens, mushroom extracts, nootropics, vitamins, minerals, all jammed into a beverage that you can just crack open, drink on the go. Very similar to an energy drink, but the difference is you're getting a greens drink. So nice and convenient, nice and simple. And they're launching it in a whole bunch of three unique flavors. And now, as when it comes to superfood supplements, and you might even notice this with a lot of pre-workouts, energy supplements, where you get brands attempting to mask ingredients. Now, a great example, actually there's a ton of great examples, but superfood supplements are very much that. They tend to have flavors that are a little bit different, not just standard taste for like a protein powder, but they play in nicely to the earthy base of superfood supplements. And the Huel Daily Greens drink is no different. It is launching in 3 flavors all up: apple, cucumber, and mint. And those are not separate flavors, those aren't 3 flavors. That's apple, cucumber, and mint in the one flavor. Then there's peach and hibiscus, and then blueberry, lemon, and thyme. So it is those names say a lot. You've got just the apple, cucumber, and mint. You've got a crisp taste of apple, that light, I guess, realistically just cucumbery taste, and then a minty freshness to it. It's an interesting batch of options, but those are the 3 it's leading off with. And yeah, check them out on the site for more information, and be on the lookout through Huel's website as they'll be hitting there first. Next, we are going to PXL. Now, PXL is a Swedish brand that started with energy drinks. Very famously, a PXL energy drink, at least in Scandinavia and Sweden. And they really dug into the gaming theme. If you followed them at all, their marketing, their branding, it wasn't necessarily like the formula was specific to gamers. It was just an energy drink. It had some health benefits. It had some alternative things to it. But it wasn't like the a new level was in there for a gaming specific ingredient. It was very much an energy drink with the name PXL bled into gamers, and it is what it is. Now, what they've done recently is they have gone into the supplement direction, which I always find interesting because it kind of not necessarily shows the roots, but shows a lot about the brand, right? Like, obviously we have a lot of supplement companies that now do energy drinks. We've now got an energy drink that's going the other direction and doing supplements, and it's gone all out. And I'm not talking daily vitamins or anything like that. I'm talking specifically sports nutrition. They have launched a pre-workout, an intra-workout, and a post-workout. And it's very telling, the kind of categories. They came out and hit meal replacement, like we've seen a few other gaming brands do, hydration supplement, also like we've seen gaming brands do. You see this stem, but they've gone full on sports nutrition straight out of the gate. And I think it's a signal that maybe they're probably fans of sports nutrition, lifters, not necessarily gamers at heart. And the pre-workout is no joke. And you do understand whenever we put these things out there on the website, and we try to communicate this on the posts, keep in mind the market or the area these are coming from. A loaded pre-workout in Sweden is vastly different from one in Germany, even different from Japan, Australia, definitely Brazil. And it's not always a regulation. Sometimes you will look at a pre-workout and be like, damn, the regulations just must suck down there, or they're horrible at formulating. The other big thing is market. Not all markets are overly jazzed on 500 milligrams of caffeine. I remember going to a place that had it was a C4 Ultimate, was there, or somewhere in Asia. I'm trying to remember where. And they were serving it out per serve. You could pay per serve, and I didn't want a whole tub. I wasn't there long. And I said, yeah, throw the maximum 2 scoop. And she kind of looked at me. She said, that's a serious amount. You could hurt yourself. But it was the full serve. I thought it was quite funny that she was reluctant to give me the full amount. But yeah, so not every part of the world is as focused on the things that you get. And I think that you get that here, especially in Sweden. Their pre-workouts aren't massively loaded, but then they are still all competitively and comparatively similar. In the PXL pre-workout, which is a great reflection of the other supplements and the sports nutrition products that are brought to market, you get 4 grams of beta-alanine, 3 grams of citrulline malate, 1.5 of arginine, which is not something I've seen in America for God knows, maybe 10 years, but it is a staple in Europe. Thought I'd add it in there, that's why they've got it. And then they interestingly had 1.5 of glycine and 2.5 grams of carbs from a blend of isomalt, maltodextrin, and Vitago. Very small amount, but it's a key component they've thrown in there. Then for the more sensory things, you get 1.5 tyrosine. For focus, 50 milligrams of acetylcholine, 200 milligrams of lion's mane. Very interestingly, Juglans Regia, that potent beast of a stimulant, at 125 milligrams, and then you have the caffeine at 250. Those are juicy amounts. Definitely some big amounts, and at least on the stimulants and then the beta-alanine. There are some things I would have preferred to be a little bit higher, but for the market, that's pretty damn good. And coming from a company that started in energy drinks as well, also quite a standout. Next up, we are going to rock on over to Ghost, the beast, the 2-time brand of the year and brand of the decade, as we voted not too long ago. They have done what I think we've all been waiting for. The original Ghost energy drink is a flavor that has been in existence for quite some time, and it was originally created as sort of pretty much what the name is, an original taste, not something that is tied to a flavor. Strawberry kiwi, you have to hit strawberry and kiwi. Cherry limeade, blue raspberry, they all have things that you are going to drink it, associate it with, and go, that's pretty close. I don't necessarily like that, and so on. Now, original is intended to be sort of one of those ones where you go, oh yeah, it tastes like original. Very similar to, I guess, the legendary Monster Green, the original Monster energy drink, even of course, the iconic signature Red Bull. They all have tastes that you go, oh, that tastes like that. You don't name the flavor. And that was intended with the original Ghost energy drink, which is, I likened it a lot to sort of like a mix of that malty undertone of like a Monster Green, like that taste that you kind of get with a lot of energy drinks, and then a kind of sort of a zesty citrus in it. And that was what I remember when we had the first exclusive, back when it was an exclusive, because this was originally only available on premise at bars and events. And on premise meaning that you can't take it away. It's served there, right? They open, give it to you. You don't walk out with it type thing. They are now finally, after doing a limited release earlier this year in that smaller can, and then making original one of the debut flavors for the launch of Ghost Energy in the UK, we are now finally getting the original Ghost Energy drink in the US as a permanent flavor. This is going to be ongoing. I think they have a Limited rollout in, is it this week or next week? I can't see it right in front of me. They're doing their limited case buy. So you can, instead of doing the secure can, it'll be a limited launch of cases. So get in, and otherwise, wait a little bit and you'll better get it later. And then the full availability of the original Ghost Energy drink in retailers is coming early September. So it won't be, you missed out on that initial launch. It's not that big of a deal. Wait a few weeks and you're going to be able to pick it up at Walmart and whatnot. So it is a big, I think they're in Target, sorry. But yeah, you get the picture. You better get it everywhere. You usually get those cases and singular cans. So pretty big deal. I think it was something we had all been waiting for, just like kind of why was there ever a flavor you could only get here and here? But I'm glad that it's making its debut. It's one of my favorite ones. And it's hard to judge though, because whenever you only get something a certain amount of time, you tend to like that more. Or at least maybe more than you would if you had it on option every single day. So it'll be interesting to see how that one plays out and how popular it becomes. Keeping in that energy drink space, we're going to jump over to Raw Nutrition, who announced a big change coming to its, not really a big change and not really that big to be honest, a change or a development in the area of the protein RTD space. Raw has had a protein drink on the market for some time, simply called the Raw Protein Shake. It's been available in many, many places, and it's a very straightforward, I think it's 30 grams of protein. Is it 30? 30 grams of protein, yep. From grass-fed whey. They have now revealed a new version that it's more of a spin-off, but it's practically the same. Not to dumb it down or anything. So previously or currently you have the Raw Protein Shake in the plastic bottle, 30 grams of protein, 160 calories, a few flavors, grass-fed whey. There's a new one coming out that's designed more for FDM, sort of, again, your mainstream guys like Sam's Club and whatnot. And it is going to be much the same. It's coming in a Tetra carton, so not the plastic bottle, the cardboard cartons that you get. It's going to have 30 grams of protein. It's going to have 150 calories. It's going to be in very similar flavors. And it's going to have whey protein as the base. So as far as I can tell, and they don't really call this out, this will be sold separately. This won't be replacing the original. It's basically it's a regular version, non-grass-fed. But they did say it's new and improved taste, which had me thinking it was replacement, but they did say it's not a replacement. So based on that, it's a better tasting version of the one that's already out there, just not grass-fed. And it's leaner, 150 calories, 30 grams of protein versus 160 calories for 30 grams of protein. Seems better all around, but unless, of course, your preference is of the grass-fed kind, that will still be there. But by the sounds of things, they're going to sort of divide where that one is, have that one more specific for specialty, and then the non-grass-fed for mainstream outlets. Keeping things going, which we are moving at quite the pace, we are going to roll on over to Redefine Foods, the functional company from Phenoflex. It started out, or spun off out of the Oatmeal protein pie, which we all firmly remember. It was one of the more unique snacks to ever come out in a while, actually, and probably one of the most that came out that year. If you weren't paying attention, that product eventually, I'm going to try and explain it here. Phenoflex divided itself up, and all the functional foods it had brought to market, specifically the oatmeal protein pie, it put out under a brand called Redefine Foods. Now, they're still same people, same everything. They just separated it out. Phenoflex is still very much about sports nutrition supplements, but then now Redefine was the one that took on all of its functional foods, including the oatmeal protein pie. They added a bunch of flavors at that time, and now they are launching a fresh new one, which you have to be pretty excited for, I would think, if you're a fan of the other two that it's done. So they are running with a peanut butter and jelly. And the way it's going to work is, I guess it's very similar to the authentic Skippy one that they have that has the peanut butter flavor. So you're going to get the cookies, the two protein cookies that are around the outside. They're going to have a peanut butter flavor to them. But then in the middle, it's going to be basically like a jelly or raspberry jam kind of filling. So where you'd usually get that cream, marshmallow, vanilla filling of the other flavors, this time around is going to be a raspberry jelly, replicating that iconic or nostalgic peanut butter and jelly sandwich. And yeah, it's the same macros, very similar macros to the other flavors on the menu. You get 14 protein, 28 carbs, 5 of that sugar, 16 fat for just short of 300 calories. Again, very much in line with all of those other options that are on the menu. moving on, I think we're going to close up with these last three because we have gone at quite the pace. I think I'm going to go with I can't forget this one, Brezza. We have teamed up with the company who makes the Supermix protein shake maker. And I think we talked about the review last week. Maybe we did. I swear we did. Now we're doing a giveaway. They was already kind of said that before. They sent us one. They said, hey, if you like it, we'll do a giveaway. We liked it doing the giveaway. And that kicked off last week, middle of last week. So it's still running now. I think we take entries right up until the end of this week, if I recall. So you'll be able to get in, do whatever. Just all you got to do is like the post, follow us, follow the Brezza, and then tag some friends in the comments. And I do like the approach that they suggested. They were like, ditch your shaker for this, which I actually think is a very valid point, because inherently, if you can't, that is what you would be doing. You would be swapping it for the shaker that comes with this, and then the machine itself, where you just throw the shaker in, spin it on, and then there you go. You've got the shake ready. And I think they claim like 30 seconds, which it does make it in 30 seconds, but then you could shorten that by doing a smaller serving, lengthen that or whatever. And the shaker is actually quite handy because the bottom part, which has the agitator, the mixer, the little motor, you can unscrew that, which again, very small detail, not a big deal. But when washing those beastie shakers, sometimes it gets annoying as hell trying to get to the bottom. This thing actually separates out quite well, and the machine itself does too. So if you need to kind of change up the protein powder, or it's get a bit messy in there or whatever, you can pull everything apart, and I mean pull it all apart, wash it, have it good to go in about, put it back together in a few seconds. So it's nice and easy. But go to Instagram, that's where the giveaway is. Find the picture of the machine, throw in your details, and you could be into one of two machines that we have up for grabs. The second to last story we're going to dive into is quite a fun one, and it comes from the good old team at JYM Supplement Science. They have launched a stack, and this isn't just your standard stack. It kind of brings back memories of one of the original post gyms, if anyone out there has been around in the business long enough to remember that one. The original post gym was split out into two supplements. It came in a box. You had one side was carbs and one side was everything else, if I recall correctly. And the idea was you may not want the carbs, right? So I don't necessarily know what you do without them, but let's have a big stack of carb packets, or you wanted to split them, maybe carbs pre, the rest the actives post. So what they've done is very similar to that. The product is called the Alpha Stack, and it is basically a box divided down the middle, and on the left are packets of pills for the morning, and then on the right, packets of pills for the night. Now, the concept is as the name says, you have the AM in the morning, and you have the PM at night or evening. And they've divided it up so that it's basically ingredients or supplements more specific to those times of day. And initially, I was thinking this was like some sort of super premium test booster, like Test Gym. Pretty sure that's what it's called. Alpha Gym. Sorry, not Test Gym. Alpha Gym or Alpha Gym X. And this was like the next step. So this is actually, Alpha Stack is a combination of three supplements. It is Alpha Gym X, and then you get ZMA Gym, and vitamin D3 and K2. And so they basically mix each of those together. So the AM packets have a serving of Alpha Gym X, and then you get the D3 and K2, and then the PM has your second serving for the day of Alpha X, and then a full serving of ZMA Gym. The supplements are exactly what they are entirely. They're not like completely new or edited. They are exactly those three supplements together in the one box, and then divided up in packets for you to more conveniently serve. And the price actually does, as you can imagine, would save you a fair amount. So we calculated it out. If you bought all three of those through JYMSupplementScience.com, you're looking at $119.97, and that's without any discount, whether you have an affiliate or anything like that. If you grab the Alpha Stack box, it's $89.99. That's at GNC, so there are also discounts you can get on that. GNC frequently won sales, but then also the subscription option that they have on there also adds discount. So either way you look at it, it's a pretty good amount of savings. What's 120 down to 90? It's 25% off to get all three. So that's a no-brainer if you are someone who already buys all three. The last story we have to finish it off comes from Beyond Raw. That is the brand and supplement I have directly behind me, and they have launched a new version of LIT. That is their signature stimulant pre-workout. Been on the market for quite some time. Spawned a few spin-offs. We obviously had LIT AF, I think it was called, and you had the LIT energy drink. Now you have LIT V2. And it's pretty much, it's a lot of the same things that were from the original, and then they've added some more modern twists, which, as you'd expect with any sequel pre-workout, you get a bit of new, you get a bit of modern, and then it's made better, and that is what you have here. So I'm going to rattle off the whole formula. You can go back on the site, we break down kind of the differences between the two supplements, but it's basically, from what we were judging, better performance and better pumps. They've elevated a few other areas, but the performance and pumps, I think, are where you're likely to notice the biggest jumps. So we've got 5 grams of straight citrulline, 3.2 of beta, 3 grams of creatine monohydrate, 50 milligrams of one of my personal favorites before the gym, and casually before the gym. I don't have this every day. I just like using it for the immediate effects that it applies. And that's Synactive at 50 milligrams. Then for a nice bump in focus, you get 250 of cognizin citicoline, and then 250 milligrams of caffeine from 2 sources in caffeine anhydrous and the Zumixar caffeine, all rounded off with estrogen to ramp up absorption and efficacy. So to be honest, it's very, not similar in the sense that like it's the same sort of experience. They've kind of balanced things around, shifted a lot. It kind of has that same level of depth, I guess you would say, as the original, but you've got a few new characters in there to mix things up and just, again, more pumps, more performance. And I love the addition of the Synactive. Plus, again, you've got the premium focus in there, but it very much is the pumps and performance that have taken the uptick. But for this episode, I think we rambled on for one of those topics, but for this episode, that is it. That was a little bit longer than usual, but we had a lot to cover. As always, all we need you to do is go to the website, make sure you stay informed, keep up to date with everything that's happening in the sports nutrition industry, functional food, energy drinks, and everything in between. Visit the website multiple times a day. Share with your mom, dad, brother, sister, friends, family, daughters, sons maybe. And then look forward to having you back next time. Thank you for listening.